Hello everyone, welcome to CEO Sister Talk. We are coming on tonight for a really great discussion. Our hot topic tonight is the downside of success. The downside of success. Hello everyone, as you're coming on, welcome. CEO Sister Talk is back tonight live with a really great topic, the downside of success. I am Rebecca Lynn Pope, your co-host, along with my wonderful co-founder, Clarissa Wright Thomas. Will be on in just a second. So welcome, come on in guys, welcome. Good evening all, good evening Cheryl DeGirl. Good welcome everybody, welcome in. We're going to get started in just a few minutes, give time for everybody to kind of come in here, get settled in before we get going. I need to send a message really quickly. I forgot to turn that on. Okay. All right. Let me see where Clarissa's at. Hello everyone. Good evening, everybody. Fatima, Whitney, Kinetic Vegan, welcome. Elder TB, hey cousin, hello, thank you. Sweet Two Sensations, welcome guys. Thank you for coming on and joining us tonight. Joni James, welcome. Whitney says, you look skinny, Miss Rebecca. Oh, honey, I look skinny. Honey, Whitney, you are just from your lips to God's ears, darling. I've never been skinny a day in my life. I thank you so much. I tend to have a thin face, Whitney, but I don't think everywhere else, honey. I've never been skinny. Tracy, great evening, Rebecca and Clarissa and CEO Sister Talk family. Thanks so much for doing this for us. You're welcome. Good evening. All right, Clarissa's here. Let's go. I thought I saw a request to join. Hold on. There it is. Accept. She's come on here in just a second. Joanne Marson. Tell Carrie. Thank you. Clarissa, are we twinning?
Twinning, and we did not plan this at all.
Twinning?
That is,
wait, I even did little curls on the side, Clarissa.
And
I came on and I had my glasses on when I first came on. I was like, oh, they're shining in the light. Let me take them off.
We did not plan.
We are CEO Sister Twins.
So cute. Hey, girl.
Hello. Hold on, let me turn my phone up so I can make sure I can hear you, right? We're twinning, guys. Okay, even down to our red lip.
And our look, this is so cute. Like, come on, give them life, okay?
Look, I had to try to go like this to try to give this little hairs of mine some little twirls.
A little twirl, yeah.
Little twirls going on. All right, guys, welcome to CEO Sister Talk. Our topic tonight is the downside of success. And I think that I was inspired by this topic, Clarissa, because I came across a post from a lady I follow who had a whole post about how people don't talk about the downside of success because we're just so focused on getting there. Everyone's so focused on getting there that very few people talk about, what happens once you get there, right? And how difficult and the difficulties of navigating so many things, the problems.
Yeah.
There's problems, y'all, that people aren't talking about. And that's what we want to talk about tonight. We want to share.
There are so many things that come with, and success is literally what we're all aiming for all the time, right? Nobody ever says, I don't want to be successful. But when you reach the peak of your success, there are things that you start to notice along the way that make you uncomfortable, like your priorities start to shift. You start to lose the ability to balance with certain things. I mean, all kind of stuff. So yeah, we're here to get into the down and dirty.
So yeah, Clarissa, one of the things that popped into my mind right off the top of my head about this topic is I'll never forget when it hit me that I have a really high bar of what I consider super successful. And when I start, like, I'm talking $25 million cash in the bank.
Yes.
I've made it, right? And when I started encountering problems associated with success, and I began, and it took me a while to identify that that's what these problems were, right? But when I did, it was like, well, I ain't even made it yet. Like, I'm not even there. Like, I didn't realize that people have problems with you at any, like, different levels, guys. You may look, some of this is going to be hitting some of y'all on the head tonight, because you're going to be able to self-identify through this conversation that you've got some issues right now with people, and you're not even on any level that you consider like arrived, or that you're there yet, that you think these problems come way higher on the mountain than this, and you are already dealing with problems.
Look, facts. When I first started to realize that there was a social downside to success, it was taking me by surprise every time. Like, every single time I was appalled. Every time a friendship changed, every time just any type of relationship would take a shift, or people would start with different commentary that didn't exist with us before. They would preface sentences differently, like, oh, I know you're busy. Oh, I'm glad to get you on the phone. Oh, I'm glad you called me back. Or, things like that. It's like, oh yeah. You hear that once, you're like, okay. When you hear it every time that people they do this ramp up every time they're getting ready to talk to you. And I'm surprised every time. So yeah, some of y'all are going to see some stuff that you may not have seen before, but you'll hear it tonight.
One of the most common phrases, don't forget about the little people. Don't forget about the little people. And I started to realize now because I'm seasoned, right? This isn't my first rodeo. I am able to pick up on this energy pretty quickly now. But I'm going to just be very transparent, Clarissa, and say that it is the loss of sister friends that I thought were ride or die, literally. It is the loss of those women and friendships in my life that were the most heartbreaking for me, the downside of success. I had no idea that elevating in life causes such a disruption in relationships that I held so dear, that if you would have asked me, oh, you go make this money, Rebecca, or get this prestige, or this, whatever awareness, market penetration, whatever popularity, that you're going to lose your best friend that you've been rocking with for 15, 20 years. And it was like, what? Why would I lose? And guys, so Clarissa, really quickly, let's define it for this conversation, what we mean by success, the downside of success. Because I think sometimes we think, like I say, we have this very lofty idea of what success is. And we have to understand that the average person in mediocrity, average life, is not losing the 10 pounds, is not losing the 50 pounds, is not getting married with a big rock on their finger, or even a baby rock on their finger. They're not getting the new car. They're not getting the promotion. They're not. So one of the things I think we have to define for this conversation is that success is anything that is above average.
And that could be anything. It could be monetary success. It could be physical success, because some people experience haters if they drop 80 pounds. They've been the fat girl their whole life. You drop 80 pounds, now everybody's acting funny. So it's not just money. It's physical success. It is emotional success. There have been people who elevated mentally. All they did was change their mindset and they lost friends. So success is defined by, like you said, anything above average, anything that cannot be considered mediocre, anything that required discipline to attain. And you got to a goal. Those are the things that are defining our success conversation tonight.
One of the things I've witnessed is healing. any type of healing, any type of mental, emotional, spiritual, generational healing, if you are doing the work to break generational stuff in your family line, and you're the first person to buy a house, or you're the first person to get married and stay married, or you're the first person to get your college degree, if you're like, guys, I didn't realize that the bar is set so low for a lot of people. That literally by doing some of the most basic things that should be normalized for us, literally sets you apart from others, and it's going to cause you to have problems with people.
And can we just point out the fact that when people start to use the narrative that you've changed, you actually have not changed the way you're treating them at all. You have started to be less available, maybe, because now I'm on more business calls, or I'm taking more business trips, but I didn't change my phone number and you don't have it anymore. Or they start to say, oh, like when I got married in 2020, like even that could be a thing that's considered a success, a part of success. All my friends, not all of them, some of my girls have been with me from day one, but I had a lot of friends who, oh, well, now that you're married, I'm not inviting you here anymore. Now that you're married, you're going to be acting like this. Now that you're married, I know not to call you. And it's like, what? Why are you guys putting these labels on me? I mean, people who had visceral reactions to just getting married. It's like, oh, so yeah, you don't treat people differently. They start to act different because your life is changing, but they are the ones who start the different acting.
And I'll be honest in saying, fast forward 20 years for me in this journey, and I've now landed at a place where I do move differently, because you start to create boundaries in order to protect your heart, protect your mind, your mental health, your peace. So guess what? I may have changed a little bit, because the way I move I don't allow just anybody to have access to me anymore, because what I've learned is that people will abuse. There is an entitlement. You guys, if I were to show you inbox messages from strangers, inbox messages from extended family, can I borrow $100,000?
Yeah.
Not $100, $100,000. Because especially if you're doing anything that is very visible, to where you're a public figure or you're seen, there's all this social media stuff, and they see you doing a lot. They see whatever your strides are, your success. Clarissa, I mean, there have been some situations that I'm just sitting there like, I really had to write like a little note, and I would just copy and paste it to people.
Oh no,
that's how I mean, that's literally it said, my apologies, all of my money is tied up at this time in investments. I'm not able to help you. I'm praying for you and wish you nothing but the best. I love you. And it was like a little note that for years I've copied and pasted to send to people who are hitting me up for money.
I wonder what triggers people to start that type of behavior toward gaining success under their nose. Because if I'm not a billionaire yet, but if one of my friends were a billionaire, I would not be sitting around counting their pockets. I would not be thinking that they owe me anything, or that they should fund my next venture. I would not even be thinking that. So there's a shift that happens in the environment, of course, but the mentality changes. And what were we doing before that allowed people to think they could come and do all these asks? That's a weird thing too.
And that's the part that's so weird to me, is like, I would never, message someone asking for that. And mind you, I may not have heard from these people for years. I don't even know where you live. I mean, like, just crazy stuff. And it's literally like, I think that what happens is there's a level of entitlement. There's a level of, because they know you, right? Rock says, can I borrow $50K from both of y'all? Just split it down the middle. We got you, Rock. We got you. But I think it has to do with close proximity. When someone has grown up with you, or they have been around you from back when, before you had all of the success, the money, or the prestige, or whatever, there's this, what is the saying, Clarissa, that says, proximity breeds something.
There's power in proximity.
Power in proximity, and it makes people feel as if your success is their success. I've witnessed that. There's like this entitlement. And one of the things that's really hurt me a lot over the years is, like, let's just say I had 3 close friends. And you're with me there when I'm in the trenches. You've been at my lowest, right? When I lost everything, you witnessed me lose everything. You witnessed me get evicted. You were cheering me on, right? Like there. And then on the come up, when God swings that thing and the tables turn and everything starts to go forward, but yet I'm also a very transparent person, and I share because I'm trying to bring everyone with me, right? So it's like, I'm not trying to just be rich. I want all my friends to be rich with me. So guess what? I'm sharing the books I read. I'm sharing what my spiritual practices are, my disciplines, my saving, my money, whatever it is I'm learning, I'm sharing that with the people closest to me the whole way through. And then they choose not to do it. And then I get the results, and then they feel some type of way.
And you just literally touched on what my thoughts were about. You mentioned the people that have been with you before you made it. Okay. If what we have become successful at is not something like singing, because God didn't give us all Whitney Houston voices. If it's a skill or something we acquired through learning and through just figuring things out, everybody has the same resources. Everybody has access to the same stuff. If I'm not out here being Beyonce, then you can't tell me, well, you made it, so help me out, because I made it by reading. I made it by putting myself in certain rooms. I made it by trying and jumping off the porch and jumping off the ledge and breaking my face a bunch of times. So you can do the same thing that you watched me do, because if you've been by my side this whole time, then you saw me struggle. You saw me eat noodles for a long time. You saw me spend my last $20 on something that I needed to keep my business going. So I don't have mercy. Well, my heart wants to, but my logic starts to remind me that they're not handicapped. They're able-bodied just like we are. So yeah, that you can miss me with that type of guilt now. That entrepreneur guilt that people put on people, once you've made it, you don't have to spread it out.
I think that some of the stuff that really broke my heart over the years is when people can see you go through hell. I said I wasn't going to cry on here. But how do you witness the lowest of the lows? Like my whole family dying. Me being alone. But then you struggle with the fact that God brought me a husband and I wasn't alone anymore. You struggle with the success when you saw, I mean, guys, I'm just keeping it 100. It's like, I'm talking about women that I thought loved me to pieces. And all of a sudden, it's just this total superficial bullshit that it's like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, I would give you the shirt off my back. I would give you anything. Like, even when it was beginning to crumble, anything you needed, I'm sending you thousands of dollars. Like, even though it's shaky already, I'm still being there for you in any moment. Like, one phone call, one text, it's sent within minutes. Like, I got your back. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, Clarissa, this is the kind of stuff people just told. And then when you become someone who puts stronger boundaries in because you got because you have been taken advantage of, because your heart is kind, your heart is soft towards the people you love, but then to find out they talk about you like a dog. They run in their mouth behind your back. I mean, come on. I have literally
God would just be talking in my ear, like, this is going on. You know, this, I would just be feeling things,
Yeah.
vibes. Sure enough, God would reveal it. Everything would come out.
Yeah. And what's the feelings that you have? And I hate that you're crying, but I'm happy that you're being so transparent, because this is a real part of it. You realize that the way people value you is not because they love you anymore. It's not because they care about they care that you stay successful so you can keep helping them and keep being there for them. That's the thing that makes you cry. It's not really, oh, I'm spending less time hanging out with my friends. That's not the thing that hurts. It's they're pulling away from you, still kind of using you, still kind of, it's this weird thing that happens, and you're like holding on to the friendship for dear life because you're trying to see what you could have possibly done wrong to make the relationship change, but it's not you. It's now some people do become successful and get a big head. We've seen those people in action, but for most of us, we're happy to share our successes left and right with the people that were here. Most of us entrepreneurial people, the first people we hire are people that have been right here, whether they qualify for the job or not. We hire our friend, our cousin, our little niece who's good at something, so we give her a job. We try to spread it out anyway.
Yeah.
It becomes, when people get entitled, it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem when, like you said, you start to enforce boundaries because life is changing. Clarissa, who was a thousandaire, can't do the same stuff that the millionaire person can do, or the billionaire person can do. You can't even operate the same way. So people get mad, like when Oprah said that she gives her family an allowance, and they're furious about that. It's like, yeah, she's a billionaire, but she's the one who did the work, number one. Number two, everybody gets to just sit down and just do nothing just because you got a rich friend now, a rich cousin. It's not fair. The entitlement is what hurts. The entitlement and your value changing.
And I think also, Clarissa, is that what success does is amplify what's already been going on, but you've been ignoring it. So guess what? The emotionally unavailable friend, the superficial friend, the petty friend, the envious friend, the jealous friend, the lazy friend, the whatever is going, because one of the things that I began to become aware of is that success aggravates and triggers issues that have always been there. So you really have been feeling this way about me for a very long time. You've already not liked some aspect or felt jealous, but as long as you felt like you had this over me, you owned a house, or just because you felt like you were thinner than me, you felt like you had that over me, or because you know you would get more men or more men wanted you, you felt like you had that over me, or whatever it is in the dynamics, that ego and superficial pettiness and competitiveness comes in, and literally I began to realize that people can be very, very superficial, guys. Very superficial. While you're over here thinking love, peace, and hair grease, they over here like, she thinks she cute.
Yeah.
And it literally could be like, cause she thinks she cute because she light skinned. She thinks she cute because she got pretty hair. And I ain't done nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I literally done nothing but love you, be good to you, but it has to do with the inner insecurities that are triggered by anybody different.
I have a friend who, and she watches these lives sometimes, and you know what? We're here to be transparent, and if a hit dog will hear something and holler, then that is what it is. I have a friend who, as I started to gain things that I before we were friends, she would make little sly remarks like, oh, even like I purchased a handbag. Oh, even I would wear that. Okay, it's like the first time, it's like, okay. When I started to get serious with my husband, oh, he's cute. Oh, even I date him. Bought a new car. Oh, even I would drive that. It's like, what do you mean? Even you would? Like, do you think I'm rising to what do you think? Why do you think that you are at this level that I haven't reached? Or why do you feel like you need to keep putting me in my place? You need to let me know that this is, oh yeah, even I would do that. Or, oh, you finally arriving? Oh, even I would do that. And it's so funny because she thinks she's being complimentary by saying that, but I'm insulted every time. I'm literally insulted, but it's like, huh. Or they do something different, still along the lines of keeping you in your place. Oh my gosh, you're so confident, girl. Girl, I couldn't get on camera until I lost all the weight I wanted to lose. If you know I'm struggling or have had struggles, you say something like that, it's like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm confident. I am happy. I actually wasn't thinking that at all. But you were. You clearly were. Oh, wow. They say things to kind of make you possibly doubt yourself or second guess something that you're doing, all because they're projecting. And I don't care that I'm, like you said, they pick out things about you that they think you think you're amazing because of, and the stuff that they say, I'm not even thinking is great at all. Oh, you think you better than me because of this or that? No. No. You have a big vocabulary. You think you're smarter than everybody else? No, my punishment when I was a kid was either get a whooping or read the dictionary. I picked the dictionary because I didn't want the whooping. So that's why I have a vocabulary. Read the dictionary. So yeah, it's funny, but those people, they show you who they have been the whole time. Just get a little bit more than them. Get a little bit higher than them.
And that's one of the things, Clarissa, that I think is so disheartening, is that the competitiveness, all of us, so for those of you watching, this is how this goes. You're working your butt off. You've got your head down, working, and stuff just starts to hit. Things start coming together. So now you're elevating in life. Your business is elevating. Your money is elevating, even the slightest little bit. And your lifestyle starts to change just a little bit. For me, it was when you go to share the win because you're excited. Oh my gosh, my book is published. Oh my gosh, I booked a trip. I'm going to Ireland, or I'm going to Bali, or I'm going to whatever. And then you just start hearing crickets. The first time you share, it's like, oh girl, go girl, okay. And then it just starts to be a little bit too much. There's just too many wins for them, or there's just, or the time when you share something, oh, I always wanted to do that.
Yes. Yep.
But you ain't put in no work to do anything like this.
Yes.
So now there start to be, the little signs, and the one of the signs for me, guys, is when someone starts to try to do the same things you do, and they've never mentioned that before. They want to get the same handbag. They want to get the same car. They want to get maybe I'll buy a townhouse, or maybe I'll do this, or maybe I'll do, and it's like, but you were never talking about that until you saw me doing that, right? Or it's I think that what's difficult, and one of the things I've said for years, Clarissa, is that it's hard to be my friend. And not one of my good girlfriends, she's like, don't say that, that's not true, Rebecca, you're one of those loving people, blah blah blah. And I said, no, it's not that I'm a difficult person. It's that as entrepreneurs, and then for me as a spiritual entrepreneur, I am always evolving. I'm always growing. I'm always elevating. I'm getting better and better and better all the time because I'm constantly working on myself. And that is this constant bar that is getting raised in my own life. But if you stop and think about what makes friends friends, it's typically based on who they are. But if who you are is always evolving and changing, that's not necessarily easy for your average person.
Right. And when you talked about people, your wins becoming too much for people, and you're not making that up, because the times you were crying about what you didn't have, you had 1,000 comments. You had 1,000 people chiming in on the conversation. When you're in despair, or you're downtrodden, and you have I'm so stressed out, I lost a big deal. People have something to say about that, or they do the fake inspiration, like, oh, you got this. But when I go get it, nobody's saying the same thing. And we're not clapping for you every time you do something. We're just people. When you are successful, it is very hard to become a successful entrepreneur. So when you get a win, y'all, people are crying themselves to sleep at night for 2 years before you see that big win. It's not that people are being braggarts. They're just like, thank you. All of it's paying off. Oh my gosh. All of those noodles.
It's coming together. Remember when I was just talking about this? Remember I just talked about doing this business? Remember I just talked about $50,000 clients? And it's here. It's like, oh my God. And you're so excited. So guess what, Clarissa? I've learned I can only be really, truly friends, real, true friends with boss chicks.
Yep. Yep. So speaking about that, when you and I forged this partnership that we have now, I know there was some dust kicked up on my side. I know there was, because for years, and it's not because of any reason other than I just didn't feel the chemistry. I've never partnered with anybody like,
Either.
and and for you and I, it was just like a thing. We were just like, oh, we should do this.
Oh yeah, we should do this. And it was so organic, and it flowed, and it felt good. It felt organic.
Yep. Yeah. But even with that, now let's talk about the narrative when the friends kind of start to, I don't want to say jealous, because I don't think everybody was jealous, but they had all these questions. Well, she's not in public relations. Why are you partnering with her? Like, what? Okay, what do you guys have in common? Like, what's the problem? You're asking me all these questions, but what is the problem? Like, tell me why you're asking this. Oh, I just don't know what you guys could be talking about on live every week. Like, what are you guys doing? Oh, well, here we are, 16, 17 episodes later, and we here. So
we keep coming up with stuff to talk about.
Exactly, and it's so interesting because their commentary wasn't attached to anything. It's not like you just got out of prison and did something crazy. Why are you questioning this partnership? It's not like I just robbed a bank and partnered with you, and people are wondering why you're talking, partnering with me. It's just so interesting how people, if they don't. Sorry about that.
It's coming back. Okay, you're back.
Good deal. So yeah, it's just weird that people start to complain about things that have no foundation. It's like, what are you mad about? There's no reason to even question it. So that's a funny part of it. The entitlement, the friendships that start to get all weird, or they see us. Now, you and I, we have partnered. We are here every week. Some people assume that you and I are hanging out every single day. Oh, you're spending all this time with Rebecca. Oh, I couldn't get you on the phone for 2 weeks. It's like, what? You're just making up stuff. Now you're just assuming what I'm doing behind the scenes. So it's interesting. They try to guilt you with stuff. Oh, you didn't work on that project. I had another client that is very high profile as well. As soon as you and I partnered, sent me a long message about why did we do this? Well, okay, yeah. So people ask questions, and it's rooted in stuff that's not really the thing they're asking. It's something else.
And I think that, guys, so let's also talk about family for a second. You guys know I don't have a lot of immediate family. My sister, my mom and dad have passed away, and I'm not really, all of my family's in Ohio, and I'm in the South in Georgia. And, so I haven't personally dealt with a lot of big issues in my, extended family because I'm not really there. I moved away when I was like 13, so I didn't stay where I grew up. But Clarissa, what type of issues have you dealt with when it comes to family and perceptions and, dynamics?
Wow. Okay, we're going to rip some Band-Aids off tonight. Well, with family, let's talk about the extended family first. There are people who were not part of my foundation, like of growing up, people who I'm blood related to, but don't have any connection to as far as like along my journey to wherever. But when I have really big wins, they're sounding off. Like they're sounding off big, loud, sharing everything. Look at my so-and-so. Oh, this is my so-and-so. And my family who's been here, the ride or dies, they are looking sideways like, who is this? Why are they posting you on their page? What are they talking about?
Why is your fifth cousin
yes.
claiming you now?
And my family, they're not possessive, but they always have a big side eye for people that came out of nowhere. Oh, that's my girl. Oh, that's my so-and-so. And it's like, no, she's not. Now, why y'all acting like this? And then they do the thing like you said, don't forget the little people. Hey, cuz. Hey, this. And it's like, no, guys, stop. People send me things to review frequently. People just start to dump things on you. The entitlement that, oh, I'm related to you, so I know you're going to help me with this. I get stuff all the time in my inbox. Can you look this over? Can you look at my daughter's headshots? Can you get her in a movie? Can you do this or that? And it's like, no.
Now that I think about it, I have had some situations because by nature of what I do, right? When I did coach one-on-one, with clients for love and dating, relationships and life coaching. I had cousins that would call. And they're calling about their relationship. They're calling about something, personal, a situation going on. And what I started to realize very quickly, guys, and this must be for somebody who's on here with us right now, is that they would take up my time. So I'm going to be on the phone for like an hour while you're dumping or talk whatever about your current situation. You're asking for my advice or my input, but you're not going to listen to me. You're not going to take the advice I'm giving you that other people are paying however hundreds of dollars an hour for, right? And then I very quickly caught on that I had to put new boundaries in place, because this is my profession. I get paid to do this. And you're also wasting my time. You're not really building like a relationship with me, because you didn't start calling me about these topics until I became well known for this stuff. And so it has nothing to do with personal relationship. It has nothing to do with being cousins, family, connected, love, like genuine love. It's that you're trying to access a resource for free, but you're not a paid client. You're not going to listen. They don't really respect your opinion. They don't really respect your profession and what you do. And so I had that, were several people that had to really treat with a long handled spoon, right? Like, I love you. We're cool. I go home to Ohio. I see them. I'm cool with them. But am I picking up the phone if a personal phone call comes in?
No, probably not.
Nope.
And the sad thing is that people who are closer to you do tend to do the wasting of your time. Or they, like you said, don't execute. You spend all this time helping and giving resources that you get paid to give elsewhere, but they take your time, and then 3 months later, you see them still doing the same stuff. Oh, I want to work with you. There are so many people who have asked to come and work here with us. And I'm like, okay, the first time it's like, oh, second time, it's like people just want the look. They want to be connected. They want the look. They want to be associated. They want to get in the pictures. And it's like, dang, I've encountered so many people that wanted to be around just because who they saw me around. And that doesn't feel good either, because it's like, I'm really building a business, and you're here under the cloak of help, or I want to learn from you. I want to do this and I want to do that. But you're really just here for one thing: exposure, connects. And that's difficult too. So somebody put in the comments that boundaries are 100% essential. Yes, they are, because you will get your feelings hurt. You'll lose business. You'll lose out on even your insight. I started to question some things about myself, like, why do people keep on getting over on me? Like, what am I actually giving off that makes people feel like they can? So success leads to a lot of people coming out of the woodwork. It leads to a lot of people assuming they can start leaning on you or siphoning from you. And it becomes harder to be yourself some days, because you want to give, but then what happens when you gave it all and you don't have anything left for the real people that have been supporting you, or even for yourself? So y'all, there's boundaries. You have to keep your time is valuable. You had made a comment on one of our other lives that your time is worth how many $1,000 per hour? You have to get
right. Yes, I think the last time I checked it was like $2,498 or something like that an hour is what my time is worth. And guys, like, I think that also what happens quite often is that people are clout chasers.
Yeah.
We live in a world of a lot of superficial, just want to be popular, just want to be, and from a professional side, guys, I even went through where the people I would be hiring as personal assistants, they want to just be around. They want to be in the limelight. They want to be on the red carpet. They want to be at the events. They want to be at this, because I used to just be out more, way more than I am now. I used to be in these streets. But it's like people just want the clout. And so one of the things that I will say is this is, listen to your gut, listen to your discernment. Do not second guess and push off thinking, no, she's good. She's a sweetheart. She's loyal. No, when your discernment starts showing you things about people, don't ignore it. That is the warning. That's the red flag. God is showing you in your spirit, be careful with this person. I've had people steal money. I've had stylists in Atlanta steal money, thousands of dollars. Guys, I'm telling you, it's like, you want to be able to trust people. You want to be able to, believe in people. But guys, listen, everybody ain't good. Everything that glitters ain't gold.
No. And people that have been around you and start to act funny and different, be careful, because even if we've seen people be so jealous to the point where they end up hurting somebody. Selena, God rest her soul. It's like, man, people are close to you and they have the biggest smile on their face, but they're waiting for an opportunity to knock you off of what they perceive as your high horse. It's sad. So your discernment has to kick in, like you said, and you have to learn good energy, bad energy, and keep negativity away, because I
had a friend like that for years. And, over the years, there would be like, people would try to say like, that she was weird, that there were things I would say, it's not like close friends, but it was like, I think to me, she was more like an associate, like we're cool, but she was always trying to claim me as her best friend. And it was one of those situations. And little things, people would try to tell me that something was off with this person. And I wouldn't listen. I'm like, no, she's a sweetheart, and there really was some things off with this person. And and guys, you literally have to be so careful, because people who want to be you are dangerous. My best girlfriends are all doing different things. Like, we are in different arenas, different industries. We're doing our own thing. We got our own goals. We got our own thing, right? And literally, if you've got some people around you that literally are trying to be you, like Oprah says, you can't be friends with people who want to be you.
No. And it's a scary territory. And then somebody put in the comments when I was saying how the friend that I had continually uses these insulting slights, you got to call it out. You have to say something. You literally have to say something, because sometimes people think they're getting over on you by doing that stuff. It's like, no, I'm peeping you. I see what you're doing. I'm just observing, but I'm very well aware of the changes in your behavior. Now, you also have to be self-checking along the way too. Success does change you in ways that can be negative if you don't know how to, because, the things that can lead you to having negative behaviors as a successful person, you start to lose balance, because now, instead of going out of town once every 3 months, now you got clients pulling you every 2 weeks somewhere, every week somewhere. You never really feel like you're settled. So you may become snappy. You may become overwhelmed. You have to learn to continuously self-evaluate, because if you're becoming overwhelmed, it may be time to hire somebody. If you're becoming snappy, you haven't done your self-care that you needed to do. Success has a lot of really positive things, but the things that drag you down are when you become a workaholic and you don't have time for anything else, or you prioritize things where they're right in your mind, but your family's looking at you crazy because they haven't seen you in 2 weeks at the dinner table. So there's a lot of things that success leads to. Of course, we all want to gain personal wealth to lead to generational wealth and to help our family. Nobody ever becomes an entrepreneur just to be selfish, in my opinion. They're not in my circle. We are all trying to help something. I want to help my great.
Exactly. They exist. They're not around us, but they exist, Clarissa. We boo. There's a lot more of them than there are of us, I think, Clarissa. We got to be real careful here, because there's a lot of barracudas out here, honey.
What do you think is the difference between the barracudas and the people who have a good heart, that maintain a good heart through success?
There's a whole lot of selfish people who just want to stunt on people. The whole drive, I've met these people, that the whole drive behind success is so that they can feel validated, so that they can look successful to others, that they're looking for something, to fill a void on the inside. It's not about just a true desire for a certain level of life or lifestyle for themselves and all of that and to be able to make a difference. No, it is really, 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 rooted in selfishness and greed and vanity, ego, arrogance. I have most definitely met people like that, Clarissa. And I think and especially in this day and times we now live in the side effects of social media, I think that is running rampant.
Yeah. And as you become successful, they say it's lonely at the top. That is really a true statement, because your circle is going to get smaller. The more money you make, or the higher you elevate, or the more you educate yourself, the people that understand those things get smaller. So you used to have 50 people that would come out to all your shows and your book signings, and then you elevate. Now there's only 20 people that are on your phone. And you have to be okay with things closing in, or things getting smaller, or things expanding in one way but getting super, super tiny on another end.
Yeah.
As you get bigger, the trust factor is harder to maintain, because you don't know if people are there for you. You don't know if they're there for the things you have. So you do have to get ready for a smaller circle, and people just to not ever understand what you do. My best friend, we have been best friends since 1987. We are so different, but I know she loves me. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I get $1 trillion or if she gets $1 trillion. I know that nothing about the way the thread of our relationship is built will ever change. If you don't feel like that about the people around you as you go along, I'm not saying get rid of everybody, but you have to be careful with who you let in your personal space, in your home. And because especially with somebody like you, Rebecca, who uses themselves, and you're a spiritual person, and you use your guidance and you use your God-given energy to help people, you can get drained by having the wrong people around you.
I learned it real quick, Clarissa.
Yeah.
Really quickly. In coaching,
Yeah.
I began to realize, wait a minute, I had people around me who really weren't supposed to be friends and associates. They should have been clients. As I got into my professional career, right? Because my background was in psychology, and I was working on my master's to become my master's degree in psychology, and my coaching career took off, and I stopped, and I realized, it's really like I'm a therapist, psychologist, spiritual psychologist, right? And it's like, oh, well, wait a minute, I have been practicing on my friends, right?
Yep.
Like, I've got friends who really should have been clients, and I realized I can't be on the phone for 5 or 6 hours with private clients and then spend another 2 hours on the phone with friends who only call because they've got problems constantly and they're constantly leaning on me. And I was just really, really drained. And it was like, this isn't going to work.
So what do you do to balance, or have the people around you started to understand that it's actually not fair to call and lean on you like that? How do you do the boundary thing?
Well, eventually, as I began to elevate and was implementing so much healing work in my own life in the last 2 decades, Clarissa, right? As I went into therapy and as I'm doing my healing work and shadow work and reading and just this constant work, well, it becomes obvious who really wants change or not. So guess what? I am a very patient and tolerant person with a lot of things, but if you're not happy and you're not really doing anything about it, me and you ain't going to rock together for too long, because it's like light and dark. You are staying stuck there. You're not really doing anything about it, but you want to whine and complain, and you want people to feel bad for you. And it's just that's just not me. I've got to be around people who are actively always growing from a personal development perspective. That's my kind of people. And so they just kind of naturally fell off. Either my light was too bright and it made them go away, or my light and everything else was saying, nah, I think I'm going to kind of distance myself and start moving, over here a little bit and move a little different. We won't be as close. And, and getting to the place where understanding from a boundaries perspective, guys, that my love for them is no different than it was ever, from 20 years ago. I love you. I just love you from over here, right? I wish nothing but blessings, abundance on your life, but you and I don't really go together no more. We're not a fit, and that's okay. one of the things I wanted to mention that I didn't want to forget is that one of the downsides of success that I've witnessed personally, Clarissa, is with my kids.
Ooh.
So I was married very young. I had my oldest son when I was only 18. I began to build businesses in my 20s. I came into my success really in my 30s.
Okay.
Which means that my oldest son was at college, like freshman year at college, when things really started to pop.
Okay.
And so what happened is my younger sons began to really get the benefits of my success, guys. Like middle school, high school, my oldest son, he was there. I mean, he didn't know it, but he's at college. There were moments, in that first year where things were coming together. I was sending my last $50.
Yep.
He didn't know it necessarily. He knew we didn't have it like that, but I mean, and then things just took off. But you fast forward in those years, his younger brothers, like his youngest brother was driving a BMW in high school, right? Just a very stark difference in their upbringing, in their childhood years. And we went through a lot of therapy and a lot of healing work because he became very resentful.
Yeah.
He felt like it wasn't fair, that he felt like I was doing so much, paying cash for college for my two younger sons, right? Paying for rent in college, all that stuff that you want to be able to do for your kids, I couldn't do when I was a younger mom, raising him.
Yeah.
And it took a lot of work, Clarissa. When I say we had to really go through a lot of personal work and therapy to get to the point where those wounds were healed.
Yeah.
To where he's okay now. And here's the other downside of success. My oldest son, because he watched the struggle, he's got some drive, guys, that I don't even know if my younger sons can even learn that level of drive, because when you have to get it out the mud, per se, right? When you gotta make it yourself, there's not, Mom didn't invest, right, to get us up and going. My oldest son, he was 26 and already making six figures in his corporate career and already owned a business on the side as well. Owned his own home by 27. That drive, right? And one of the things that helped us to mend is a lot of conversations around the fact, I know you hate the rub of this, but you would not be where you're at right now if you had not witnessed the work ethic and the struggle that you saw in those years when I was building.
Yeah.
Totally different.
Yeah. It's so interesting, and it's so real, and everybody's points are valid. His points were valid. I struggled worse. Mom, you didn't do this and that for me. And your other kids are they don't, but like you said, they won't, there are some things that they won't really know until later. There's some things they won't know until later. I had made a comment recently that I owe my son a lot, because my son is 18, my business is 17 years old. And there were a lot of times, so my son got to kind of see the both types of lives that your children have had separately. On the front end, when James was 2 to 12, 13, 14, he was experiencing we were figuring it out, we're making it, we're doing this and that. And then maybe around 13, 14 is when I started to be able to spoil him and do things that I didn't even think were spoiling, but it's okay, I'm getting it now. Okay, all those nights you had to feed yourself while I was trying to land a client. My baby spent so many nights as a little kid, 9 and 10 years old, letting himself into the house. I'll be home in an hour. Just go in the house. Here's your food. It's already there. I'll be home in 45 minutes. Just eat your lunch. And it now I'm starting to feel that sadness that you feel when you realize your child may have missed out on something, but he allowed me the space and time to build. And I didn't feel like I couldn't go do what I needed to do. So he experienced the stuff that I'm hugging him and crying about now. He's like, Mom, what are you talking about? And I'm like, are you sad? And he's like, no, Mom, life has been great. He's grown with me. So I understand that feeling of, oh, what did I do? Did I do anything wrong? Or how will I fix this or that? Girl.
Clarissa, I heard this one woman CEO speak years ago, and she was, I forget, she was the CEO of a huge corporation. I just can't remember her name or who she was. But she was speaking at a conference, and its clip kind of went viral, and she said, you know, for all the women business owners and businesswomen out here, please understand that the sacrifices we make as women CEOs is quite different than men, because we are held to standards of still trying to be held to a standard as being a mother, a wife, right? And a CEO. Whereas if a man is being a really great business owner and CEO, he can be over here working 80-hour weeks. And he's being respected as the breadwinner, as a man. He's getting it done. He's working hard for his family. That's not exactly respected in women, right? We're expected to show up, be top-notch mothers, top-notch wives, and top-notch business owners. And one of the things she said in that speech, Clarissa, is she said that as women, when you feel like you're killing it in one area, you'll feel like you're failing in another.
Yep.
And I never forget, I saw that, and it was the years before I was going through a brutal divorce from my ex-husband, and he was just always just lobbing, crap at me. Oh, you missed their baseball games. Oh, you're not this.
Man.
You're doing this. You're this. And I just felt like such a horrible mom all the time. We would be in court, and she's just a dreamer, Judge. But you're trying to get money out me. Yeah. Like, that's the ironic part, right? And the judge was like, but last time I checked, we live in America, right? The land of the brave. This is the land where dreams come true, And I'll never forget having to really shore myself up.
Yep.
Because I would tell my sons, I have 3 sons, guys, and they, were like 4 and 5 years apart, so spread out. But I would tell them, this is going to pay off.
Yeah.
This is going to pay off. I need you guys to rock with me. They never went without. There was never, God provided. They never, ever went without a meal. They never not had a roof over their head. God was great. But just the hand to mouth, the not being able to, do everything they wanted to do, their friends, we always lived in upscale neighborhoods, and their friends were on vacations, and their friends drove Range Rovers in high school, and it's just like, look, but we ain't there. But Clarissa, it's like, getting to that point where the reality of mom being able to pay for family vacations that we're all going on, right? That together we now can have experiences that, we're all able to enjoy because the finances are there. But the downside is there's going to be some sacrifices, especially for the woman CEO. There are going to be, I would be at baseball games, and she's always on her phone. He'd be talking about, did you even see that play? He's just so bitter and horrible. He was horrible to me. But, at the same time, I'm the one now paying cash for college, right, for our youngest son, and he can't do that,
The thing that I like about these types of conversations is that, number one, we're in a time in the world or in life that we can actually say some of this stuff out loud. Some of this stuff is super taboo. If you had your child latchkey in at 10, some people look down on that, but like you said, you had to tell your kids, this will pay off. My son literally knows. He saw the first part, now he sees the other part. He's like, okay. He asked me, Mom, have you ever had a boss? I'm like, yes, but you've never seen that before. So now he has a pride about what he saw me build. And
that's right.
He's gone out of the country. Look, I used to take friends out of the country with us because, having one child before I gained my bonus daughters 3 years ago, it was just he and I. So I'm like, I need a friend to come with you on this trip because I'm not going all the way to the Bahamas and going to be sitting in your face. So we have to bring a friend. Oh, I'm able to pay for the friend. Oh, wow, things are changing. I can afford a friend. So there are these things that the guilt does exist. And even though our children will go on to be super successful, we'll still have those days where we're like, did I watch enough games? Did I see the plays? And you have to have a component of self-forgiveness when it comes to that, because you are building something. You weren't off gallivanting and doing other things that lead to parents not being in their kids' lives. So
And my youngest son, his major is psychology. And he told me months ago, he's like, oh, Mom, yeah, I'm the one who's going to take over for you when you're done. Like, I'm the one who's going to take over where you leave off. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, he's been picking up what I'm putting down. Like, he's got it honestly. And it's like, so, the thing is, guys, is that, but if you come from a family or background where no one has been an entrepreneur, um, you don't expect this to be supported. Don't expect it to be understood. Like I said, my ex-husband and his family, I mean, they just look, but I came from an entrepreneurial family, and, but he didn't at all. And he would just, oh God, Clarissa, it was horrible. He would just talk about me so bad. And now he's constantly asking my sons how much money I make, trying to
sip some tea on that, girl. Sip some tea. Wow. You know what, guys? Success is still strive for success. Just know there will be some bumps along the road. Some you will create, some people will try to create for you. Keep your head up. Like Rebecca said, shore yourself up and just fortify yourself in the knowledge that what you're doing is going to lead to the thing that you've been aiming for the whole time. So the phone calls that you missed from grandma, I'm guilty of. The times that you couldn't make it to an event, the times you picked up your phone too many times, it's going to happen, and it will lead to some bumps along the road. But if you stay focused and you have a good sister circle, a good friend circle around you, you'll come through on the bright side.
Yeah. And remember, although the downside of success, there's a lot of sacrifice. There's a lot that, as you see, I'm in tears thinking about the friends that have come and gone, that I love dearly to this day. But guys, guess what? I would not trade any of it. I would not trade my lifestyle. I would not trade what I get to do for a living, that I get to do something I love that pays me how many hundreds of times over what I would be making, or what someone would pay me to be doing for them. I just remember that it's worth it.
Yes,
it's worth it.
Yes, it is. And you are worth it. You are worth it. Yes.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yes. All right, Clarissa, any last thoughts, anything you need to plug before we get out of here?
I just want to let everybody know that our courses, our PR readiness, our PR 101, PR do's and don'ts, all these wonderful courses are available on my link tree on my page, along with our join the newsletter email list for CEO Sister Society. We've got some wonderful things coming down the pipe. We're in the second quarter of the year, so join us in that email group so you can keep current on everything that's going on with us. So check out my link tree, join our newsletter list, and that's all I have to say.
And I just put out a new 66-page free workbook called 5 Steps to Thriving versus Surviving. For those of you who know that you need to get your life in order to be prepared to thrive, there's a link for that in my bio as well for you to get that free workbook. I also have the Abundant Life Coach certification coming up next month. For those who want to be certified Abundant Life Coaches, we are taking applications for that. And we have a brand new Divine Dating course that is going to be releasing this week. Make sure you stay tuned for that. That's going to be a lot of fun that I'm teaching with Bliss Alexandria and one of our Master Abundant Life Coaches. So that's going to be a really, really great course as well. All right, Clarissa, any last things? Anything? We're good?
That's it. Happy Tuesday, everybody.
All right, guys. Blessings and abundance, guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Bye-bye.